Let's just take a couple minutes to check out our site at various screen sizes to ensure that everything is working in the way that we want. Our site is currently looking pretty good at the large screen size. We've gone ahead and made some edits to the header area, as well as created a custom footer, and we've established styles for some of the main components throughout our website. Before we get much further into the development, I did want to take a few minutes and show you what happens as our site gets smaller. If I resize my site down and mimic what's going to happen at a tablet, you're going to see that there are several problems. First of all, our menu completely disappears. We no longer have access to that hamburger menu that we had created earlier. The background color of my post articles is clashing with my text color. And if we look down in our footer, it doesn't look too bad at the tablet size. If I do scale my screen down smaller and mimic a mobile size, you're going to see that some of our text becomes unreadable. And this has to do with some of the line height specifications that we had previously set. I want to show you how we can resolve these issues so that you can ensure that your website is going to work beautifully at a variety of screen sizes. I'll go to the backend portion of my website, we'll go to Appearance, and we'll visit Customize once again. I'm going to go to my global settings. So we had looked at these before, and let's concentrate currently on colors. I'm going to go into the color area. Here's a preview of what my site looks like at the large screen. However, if we come down to this bottom section and we change the screen size to a tablet, you're going to see that all of those things that just occurred before are going to affect our website. So let's look at how we can fix these things. Let's start off by ensuring that our hamburger menu appears at the tablet size. Some of these theme colors may not be entirely intuitive as to what they're controlling, so you might have to play around with some of these settings to see what is going to be affecting other things. But in this case, the accent color is what is going to ensure that our hamburger menu will display or not. So as you can see, as soon as I set this to something other than white, it will ensure that the hamburger menu now is going to appear. If we come down to the surface color, you will see for content background, this is set to the brick red. I'm not actually sure how this got set because at our large screen size, we don't have any color set here. Needless to say, I'm going to go into the tablet size and I will click on the red color chip and I'm going to go down to the bottom and click clear. This will clear out that additional color. And now it's going to have the same colors that were present at our large screen size, which is what we want. This is looking pretty good. Let's check it out at the small screen size. So at the small screen size, it is inheriting down the color of our hamburger menu. We still have that problem with the red background. So I'll do the same thing here. I'll click on this. I'll go down to clear and clear that out. And now we have consistent colors on these particular elements. The next thing that we're going to be looking at is if I click on the hamburger menu to open it, you'll see that the background color of the hamburger menu is showing at this brick red. Now this is not controlled within the color section. So I will click the publish button just to ensure that we're going to save those choices that we just made. I'll click this little back icon and I'm going to click that twice. And we're going to go into the header builder. Inside the header builder, you have an option for off canvas menu. I will click this, and this is where you can not only configure your off canvas menu, but you can also control the design. So if we click the design section up here, we can start to adjust the different parameters. For the background, I'm going to change the background color, and we're just going to make this white. I want the text links to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to switch to that same dark gray that we were using at the large screen size. And what I would prefer to have right here is some sort of separator between these particular items. In order to do this, I need to go into the General tab and I need to turn on the item divider. Now that we have this on, if we go back into the design section, you will see that we can control different parameters about the divider, mainly the size of the divider. So I'm going to set this to 2, and also the divider color. And I'm going to make this our lime green shade that we have in our color palette. Everything else looks pretty good. If you wanted to change the hover color of these elements, you would go to background, and this is where you can set the hover state. So if I made this the green color, now you can see that these would hover and display green. This now looks good, and we'll just check it out at the tablet size. You can see we're having the same issues here. Once again, I'm going to make sure that I am editing the off-canvas menu. I will go into design, and we're going to make the same changes. So for our background color, we're going to set this to white. The hover color is going to be green. And then there is an active color that was set to yellow. I'm just going to clear this out so that it matches the rest of the elements on my website. And it looks like the link color is not using our darker gray. So let's make sure that that's happening as well. This looks much better. And the final element that I want to edit in regards to the menu is the toggle button. So the toggle button, we have different styles for the toggle button. The default style is these 3 thin lines. We have the option for slightly thicker lines, or we have the option for 3 dots. I prefer the slightly thicker lines. And then you can also control how the button looks. Do you want an outline? Do you want a background color? I'm just going to keep mine at the minimal state. And I think that this now is looking great at the various sizes. So let's just make sure that these things inherited. They did. It is worth mentioning that I altered the off-canvas menu initially at the mobile size. Had I been in the tablet size, those styles should have inherited down to the mobile, so I probably would not have had to set them twice. Just keep that in mind, but you do have the option to make those changes if necessary. I'm going to click Publish to save these changes. And the last thing that we want to do is we want to alter our footer a little bit at the very small screen because some of our text becomes a little bit unreadable. As long as I'm viewing my preview at the mobile device, I can edit these various things. So I'm going to click so that I can edit this particular widget. This is going to take me into my footer builder widget. So just by clicking these, it takes me into those areas. If we click the top one, now we're editing the above footer area, and this is actually the container. Let's add a little bit of spacing around the edges. I'm going to go to design, and I'm going to add a little bit of padding. I will unlink these elements, and I'm going to use percentages, and we're just going to set the right and the left percent to 5, and that will give a little bit of spacing around the edges, which I think is better. I'm going to do the same thing in our primary footer. So I will click this, I'll click design. And once again, I'm going to go to percent. I'm going to unlink these and we'll set the right and the left values to 5%. Now I need to adjust the line height. So at the large screen size and even at the tablet, these footer elements look great. But when the text has to wrap onto multiple lines, it has some issues, and that's because our line height is a little bit too tight. Then I'm going to click on the first pencil icon, which is going to allow me to edit these elements that we are using. And you can see that currently I'm editing the H2, which is this top header. I will go ahead and click the options and say show more settings, which is going to open up my CSS editor. And if we go to typography and we turn on line height, we can then adjust our line height. My line height is going to be 1.5. That looks much better, so I will accept that change. Then I'm going to click the back button. We're going to click on this next element, which is the paragraph. I'll go to the options, show more settings, and here I'm going to make the line height a little bit greater. So we'll just go ahead and increase this until it looks good. And I think if we have something around 1.4, that looks much better. I will do the same thing in our primary header area. And for this particular element, I'm just going to set the line height to the exact same values. Increase this to 1.4. I don't feel like I need to make any changes to the header because my text is pretty small, and chances are I don't need to worry about the user being on a screen that is smaller than this. Everything else looks fine. I will click publish. There is one final thing that I want to do, and you can see that at my various screen sizes, I have this little button that will scroll me to the top of the page. I would like to restyle this button. So I'm going to go ahead and click back so that I can get back into my customizer. We're going to go into the global area, and we have this scroll to the top. This is what allows the scroll to the top to be present. And currently we're showing it at desktop and mobile, which is fine. But I would like to style this. So I'm going to go to design. This is where I can control how this looks. So I will be changing the background color to white. I'm going to change the icon color to my darker green. And then I'm going to increase the border radius. I'll set this to percentage, and I'm going to lock all the values. And we'll just type in 50 so that this will show as a circle. I like the way that this looks better. And as you can see, it's going to inherit those styles at all of my screen sizes. I just feel that this is a little less intrusive and it works better with my website. I will click publish one more time, and now I'm pretty happy with my site. As a final check, I'll go to the front end portion of my website. I will make sure that everything looks great, and I think this is looking good at the large screen size. I will scale my page down to mimic a tablet screen size. Everything's looking good. The menu looks good. And finally, I will scale down to a mobile screen size. Once again, I like the way that this is looking. And as you can see, our footer looks much better. As you develop your web page, you'll want to continually be checking it at the various screen sizes. I know there's a lot of places that you can customize your website, and this can feel a little daunting. Just take it one step at a time. And the more you work with WordPress and you become more comfortable with these various areas, the easier it will be for you to build a website that looks exactly how you want it to look.